Let's talk Tanya for the 10th of Adar. Yesterday we spoke about the mitzvah of V'ahavta l'reacha kamocha, the mitzvah of loving every one of our fellow Jews as we love ourselves. And we spoke about how to get there, and we do so by identifying with our neshama, with our soul. We ended off yesterday by asking the question, are there any exceptions to this? Are there any Jews that we're allowed to hate? And the answer is yes. The Talmud tells us something very interesting. The Talmud tells us that if you see a colleague who has sinned, the words of the Talmud are mitzvah l'snoisai. It is a mitzvah to hate that person. It is a mitzvah to despise that person. The Talmud even takes it a little further and says, not only should you hate him, but you should also, if you have a mutual teacher, you should go to the teacher and say, hey, you think that student of yours, you think he's righteous and he's a holy person. I want you to know, I saw him doing an avera, doing a sin. You should hate him also. Sounds kind of funny. But the answer is yes, actually, hatred is something which has its place. Let me explain what I mean by that. Yesterday we spoke about the idea of Avos Yisrael loving every Jew. And why do we love every Jew? Because I identify with my soul. And on a soul level, we're all one, and we're all here to serve God together. But does my godly soul not have an agenda at all? It has an agenda. What is this agenda? It's to serve God. And we know God has a plan over here in this world, and we're supposed to be doing mitzvahs in order to be able to bring the world to its intended destination, its intended place. So if someone else is doing an avera, someone else is doing a sin, it bothers my godly soul. So if someone else slights me, someone else does something which says something which is nasty to me, my godly soul doesn't care about that. Why? Because it's not about me, it's about God. But if a person actually is sabotaging the divine purpose over here in the world, it's supposed to bother me, and I'm supposed to feel a very strong emotional reaction to that. Because this is not about love for the purpose of love. This is love because of my godly soul. So my godly soul connects with any Jew and every Jew because we all have the same soul, but ultimately my godly soul will be very bothered by someone else who is disregarding God's will. However, there are some important qualifications to make over here. Number one, there are two conditions over here. Condition number one is that person who I see doing an avera, doing a sin, has to be on the same level as me, spiritually speaking. Has to be someone who has the Torah knowledge, has to be someone who's a spiritual person. That's number one. Number two, even that person, I only have permission to hate them, to despise them, if I've done whatever I can, whatever is in my power, to influence them to change their ways. And that does not mean screaming at them. Screaming is not a very effective way of influencing at all. But I've done, in a loving way, in a caring way, I've done what I can to influence. I've spoken to that person, and the person is disregarding what I'm saying. If these two conditions are met, number one, number two. Again, number one is that this is a person who has the knowledge that I have. And number two, I've done my best to influence that person, and the person has not changed their ways. Then not only am I allowed to hate the person, it's a mitzvah to hate that person. If these two conditions are not met, then hatred is misplaced. Instead, I have to have rachmanis on the person. I have to have compassion on the person, and I have to try and try again and keep on trying to influence that person, the words that the Alter Rebbe uses, with ropes of love, and try to use my love to the extent possible to bring that person back to the ways of Torah and mitzvahs. It's rachmanis. What do you want from that person? That person doesn't know any better. The person doesn't understand. Even if that person knows, but doesn't appreciate fully the value of Torah and mitzvahs. So we already understand that the instances in which we are allowed to hate another person are very rare, because these two conditions are rarely met. Again, that a person is on my level, spiritually speaking, and also that this is a person who I've done my best already to bring them back to the path of Torah and mitzvahs. And then the Alter Rebbe says, even that person, which you're allowed to, or perhaps even there's a mitzvah to hate that person, at the very same time, you have to love them also. Why is that? Because this person also has a neshama. This person also has a godly soul. A divine core, which I have to love, I have to feel bad for. So yes, I hate that side of the person that is doing the avera, that is doing the sin and is sabotaging the divine plan. But I have to love that person also. So what do we have over here? We have Most Jewish people I have to love in an unqualified way. There's a very small segment of people who, yes, I am allowed to hate them, but at the same time, I have to love them also. And ultimately, the love overpowers the hate. And my general disposition towards that person is one of love and care and compassion. Now, this is a very large idea over here, which is, it's easier to say, and I know that some people listening to this might be, oh, I wish there wasn't this concept of hatred. I wish it was only about love. But we need to understand, if there is no hatred, there is no love. What do I mean by that? If you truly, truly love something, then yes, you will hate anything or anyone that seeks to harm that which you love. If I love Hashem and I am passionate, really, really passionate about doing what Hashem wants and getting to the world where it belongs, and then I see someone who is just totally disregarding that, and I don't have a strong emotional reaction, I really have to stop and ask, do I really care about what I'm saying I care about? If I care about it so much, how can I not care that there's someone who's disregarding that? So it's not the love in Judaism, love everyone. It's not because, oh, everyone's amazing and everyone's great and whatever someone does is fine and nothing really matters, because that's a popular way. Yeah, love everyone because nothing really makes a difference. Just love everyone. That's not the love of the Tanya. The love of the Tanya is a very spiritual, holy love. I love you because you have a soul. I love every Jew because we're all in it together. At the same time, I'm very passionate about the feelings of my godly soul, Torah mitzvahs. And when the right conditions are met and someone is actually violating that, I feel violated. My godly soul feels violated. And I have that strong emotional reaction, a negative reaction. And at the same time, I love that person also. With this, we have concluded chapter 32 and the topic of Avas Yisrael, of loving our fellow Jews. And tomorrow, chapter 33, we return to the topic of joy. Remember, as we said yesterday, this chapter 32, is somewhat of a parenthetical chapter, very, very important chapter. In fact, the number 32 has the numerical value and it also makes up the word Lev, Lamed Beis, which means the heart. It is at the heart of Tanya. And this chapter is at the heart of every Jew. The idea of loving everyone is the heart of every Jew, but ultimately, this is a parenthetical idea. In the larger idea, we're talking about the importance of serving God with joy.